welcome to the Dual Horizon podcast. Today we're diving into the world of impactful communication with Chester Beard from Salish Consulting. Chester's expertise is in brand writing, AI integration, and ethical copywriting. Is transforming how businesses and nonprofits speak to the world. Join us as we explore the power of words in purpose. All right, Chester, hello, and welcome to the Dual Horizons podcast.
Thanks, Wolf. Thanks for having me. I started my grant writing, copywriting career during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic back in 2020, when I had a chance to reassess what I was doing with my career, and it allowed me to pivot into projects that would help local communities and global communities as a grant writer / copywriter for nonprofit and environmental organizations. Before that, I worked in blockchain for a while, and before that, I worked in software at places like Microsoft, Cambia Health Solutions, and a number of different startups throughout my tech career. And way back, I ran a retail business. So I've done a few different things in my life. It's been a good trip, and I really enjoy what I do. I like writing, I like helping out communities, and I like helping get the message out for whatever project you're working on. So thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And obviously, Dual Horizon is about blending and merging technology with spirituality. So grant writing is something that is very useful and important for nonprofits. So all the nonprofits out there, really pay attention, because there could be some juicy and good information in there that Jester will tell you. So let's talk about technology and specifically AI. Let's kind of maybe start there on how you're using AI in regards of content creation, content preparation.
So I have used a number of different tools, but I found the best way to use AI is to use the actual chat bots like ChatGPT or Claude. There's another one called Pi that I've used in the past, and those are the most useful tools out there for using AI in whatever workflow you're working on, except in the area of design, website design. Then there's a few tools that are useful for that kind of project, like Reloom and so on. But most of the writing programs out there are going to use Claude or ChatGPT with their API, and then present you with a user interface to interact with the API. And so I found that using those two chatbots, Claude and ChatGPT, the most give me the best results. I use them mostly for brainstorming. Early on, I ran a bunch of experiments where I would try to create entire blog posts with just one click, which is what a lot of these writing tools will do for you. And I found that they will rank well initially, but once actually humans come along and write a blog post about the same topic, then you'll get pushed down in SERPs, that because an actual human can give you context, which is not something that ChatGPT or Claude can give you as far as real world experience. And so it's also very helpful for brainstorming. So if you're looking to come up with some keywords around a topic, it's good for that. And if you're stuck just having a writer's block, ChatGPT and Claude are also good for that. ChatGPT also is very good, very useful for creating an outline. So it can define structure of a blog post very well. And then you can have it write section by section, but letting it run through the entire blog post of maybe 2,500 to 3,500 words will start to repeat itself too much. And so to keep it from doing that, you have it write section by section down the line, and then you can go in and edit those sections to give some real world context. That's how I've been using AI chatbots so far.
Right. Right. And so what about the grant writing process? So we know we spoke about, website content, blog posts. What about the grant process? I mean, that is a process that's obviously much more involved, needs a lot of in-depth data and details. Let's walk us a little bit through that process and then how you handle it and why somebody might consider working with you.
Sure. So I use ChatGPT and Claude for um, kind of idea creation of how to rewrite a section to make it flow better with the entire context of the grant itself. There are tools like Grantable that you can use for research and for writing, but mostly I use ChatGPT and Claude for creating an outline of a grant and for writing some sections of the grant which need to be rewritten. It's mostly You mostly use them for idea creation and for just helping me with writer's block. Those are the two ways that I found that chatbots are most useful in my workflow with for grant writing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And then what's your process in regards of the process, let's say from start to finish? Is there like a communication, a back and forth in regards of when somebody needs it's a grant, there's like a discovery session where you discover, okay, what is the goal, what's the objective, and then the content accumulation of what needs to get it being put in there.
Yeah, so I have a two-step process. I call it a funding strategy and then the actual grant writing phase, or you can call it phase one and phase two. And in phase one, the funding strategy phase, I go out and I use tools like Instrumental or Open Grants to create a list of maybe 300 possible grant foundations.
Okay.
And so that's my starting point. This is after the initial meeting with a new client to discover what they want to have funded, who they are, what they want to have funded, and what their timeline is for having this project completed. And so once I've done that, then I create the list in Instrumental and Open Grants of maybe 300 possible grant opportunities. And then I use a number of factors, mission fit, because the database will give you um, some results that don't quite fit your mission, uh, size of the grant, and geography. Some
Okay.
foundations have a tendency to give to more to Wyoming versus Arizona or California versus Texas, that kind of thing. They just have a geographic bias. And also use likelihood of success for the grant. So some foundations may get 20 to 30 applications a year, but they only give out 3 to 5 grants. And so something like that, I would eliminate as a possible application.
Okay.
Once I've done this, once I've gone through the 4 layers,
Okay.
geography, mission fit, likelihood of success, and size of the grant, I then create a list of 10 to 15 foundations we could write applications to. And this would be a list that you could apply to over the next 12 to 18 months. And so the reason 12 to 18, because you might just miss a deadline and stuff like that. And so um, you get something back called a funding strategy or a phase one results that would help you to understand your prospects for grant writing. And then we go into phase two to write the actual grants that I would work with the applicants on to create a good application per each foundation. So
Mm-hmm. Because I mean, those are very unique. I mean, it's not like you can write one grant and then submit it to all 10 at the same time. They need to be very customized.
yeah, they do, because each grant is going to be asked for different things from the applicant. Part of the process in phase one is I actually reach out to the different foundations to find out if they think we're a good fit, what kind of process they have for application. Some places it's just a one-page application. Others it's a much more detailed, involved with a lot of graphs and
Mm-hmm.
charts and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, each application is a very unique process. And so, But once they have the list, they can take that and work with me or work with someone else to create a bunch of grant applications for them to fund their project.
Interesting, interesting. And then the what, so to speak, is success rate there? I mean, obviously everybody is in a unique scenario, so it's maybe very difficult to judge that. But I'm just curious, out of your experience, so to speak, what are some of the nonprofits have been looking at?
As far as success rate, is generally in the 60 to 70% range for most grant writers. I'm about in that range too. And so it's never 100% because things can come up that you don't know about, that despite all your work to find out everything you can, there might be other things that come up. And it may be just that you're not as good a fit as you feel that you are for that particular grant. Or maybe they just, yeah. So there's a number of factors that can keep you from winning a grant, even though you've made your best effort. So it's not 100% success rate, but generally in the business, it's between 50 and 70% is a good success rate.
Okay, very good. And how do you prioritize funding strategies?
Well, so part of it's by deadline. Part
Okay.
of it is by size of grant, and part of it is by how the funding will fit into the broader picture. So deadlines, obviously, the size of the grant is pretty good too, and then how it fits in with the broader picture. You might be having several operations going on at once, and so how the grant fits in with like your priorities as far as funding. You need the building before you can have an app, before you can have a program. You need to have staff before you can have a program. And so funding may be around that first. That would be the first kind of applications that you would put out. And then later would be for the actual running of the program and so on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now we're specifically talking on the program to help nonprofits that are light workers, that are helping other people with their spiritual and holistic messages. So when you have an agency or when you have a nonprofit like that, what are some of the tips or strategies that maybe specifically are, so to speak, or can speak to this audience?
So for light workers and so on, you'd be looking at private foundations. Of course, the federal government can't get involved with doing any kind of funding around any kind of spiritual religious activities. And that would be part of the funding strategy, would be defining your purpose for your application in the very beginning. And so that would be taken care of in phase one, or the funding strategy. And so for light workers and spiritual people, there are some church foundations that can be accessed, like Unitarian Church. There's other grants that can be defined for religious purposes that would be defined under spiritual activities or spiritual light workers. So
Right.
some foundations exclude religious activities, and others are open to whatever. You could use pretty much the same process for light worker applications as you would with other types of foundations as well. One thing to keep in mind too is that when you apply to a foundation, they want you to have a program running already. So I've run into this a few times where I'll be approached by a group that wants to start a program, but they've never done any fundraising. They've never done any actual program development yet. And a lot of foundations shy away from those kinds of groups because they want to see that you've had some kind of success. And once you've shown that you've had some success managing and building a program, it's a lot easier to get a grant funded once you've shown that you can actually manage your money and develop a program. So,
Right. Well, very valuable information, Chester. Thank you so much. So how do people reach out to you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
you can reach me through my website, salishconsulting.com. You can email me at chesterbeard at salishconsulting.com. I am on Medium and LinkedIn as well, just under Chester Beard. So those are the ways to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Awesome, Chester. Thank you so much for being here on the Dual Horizon podcast today. Thank you so much. Until the next time.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.